The storm roared over our small town, shaking trees and making windows rattle. Lightning lit up the sky, followed by deafening thunder that made Tyler huddle under the covers. He had always been fascinated by storms, but this one was different, fiercer. Finally, when the storm began to subside, Tyler looked out the window, seeing the soaked backyard. His curiosity led him outside, exploring the damage caused by the rain. In the middle of the drenched grass, something caught his attention. There, in the pale glow of the outdoor lights, was a small frog with an almost luminous green-blue coloration, and its eyes had a hypnotic glow. Tyler, who had always loved reptiles and amphibians, was enchanted. He carefully picked up the frog and ran back inside the house. "Look what I found, Dad," he exclaimed, holding the frog in front of me. Marie, who was in the kitchen trying to calm her nerves with tea, frowned at the sight of the frog. "Tyler, I'm not sure it's safe to bring a wild animal into the house. What if it's sick or dangerous?" she said, worried. I could see the reluctance in her eyes, but I also saw Tyler's uncontrollable enthusiasm. "Please, Mom, just for one night. I promise to take good care of him and let him go tomorrow," Tyler pleaded, his eyes big and imploring. I knew it would be hard to resist. Marie sighed, still hesitant. "All right, but just for one night," she agreed, albeit reluctantly. "Well, as long as you promise to take good care of him and let him go tomorrow, I guess we can make an exception," I added, trying to be fair. Tyler jumped with joy and ran to prepare a small box as a temporary home for the frog. While he worked, Marie approached me. "Do you think this is safe?" she whispered, concern evident in her voice. "It's just a frog, Marie." "What could go wrong?" I replied, trying to reassure her. That night, after all the excitement with the frog, we decided to put him in a glass aquarium we had in the garage. We wanted to make sure he wouldn't escape and cause problems around the house. Tyler helped set up the aquarium, carefully choosing smooth stones and adding some water to make the environment more comfortable for the new guest. "Good night, buddy," Tyler said, looking at the frog with a smile before going to bed. Marie and I watched the scene with a slight smile, appreciating our son's enthusiasm. After ensuring the aquarium was secure, we also went to bed. The next morning, I woke up with a strange feeling of unease. I went downstairs and found Tyler already up, staring intently at the aquarium. As I approached, my heart nearly stopped. The creature, which the night before was the size of a small frog, had now grown to the size of a toad. The growth had been alarmingly fast, something that defied any logic. "Dad, look at his size," Tyler exclaimed, unable to hide his amazement. Marie entered the room shortly after, and her face paled at the sight of the frog. "This isn't normal," she said, her voice trembling. "He shouldn't have grown this much in a single night." I was equally perplexed and worried. I decided it would be best to put the creature outside. "Come on, Tyler." "He needs to go back to nature," I said, trying to pick up the frog. As soon as I put my hands on the aquarium, the frog began to emit strange grunts, sounds that were definitely not from a common frog. They were loud, high-pitched cries, almost like a fire alarm. Tyler ran to stop me. "No, Dad! Don't take him out! He's my friend!" "Tyler, he's growing too fast. This could be dangerous for him and for us," I tried to explain, but the grunts continued, becoming more intense. I decided there was no other choice. I opened the back door and threw the frog outside. For a moment, I thought everything was resolved. But then, the creature began screaming outside the door, its cries echoing through the house. Tyler was crying, while Marie and I looked at each other, not knowing what to do next. That creature, which initially seemed harmless, was quickly becoming a serious problem. That morning, the chaos the creature was causing outside became unbearable. Its high-pitched cries echoed through the house, disturbing everyone. Tyler cried uncontrollably, unable to understand why his friend was being kept outside. Marie looked at me, desperate for a solution. I decided the best option would be to put the amphibian back in the aquarium, at least for one more night, until we could find someone who could take him somewhere else. Very carefully, I picked up the frog and put him back in the aquarium. Initially, he was restless, but in a few minutes he calmed down, stopping those disturbing sounds. Peace returned to the house, but worry still lingered in the air. Tyler, relieved, watched his friend with a mix of joy and curiosity. Information about a frog with those characteristics. I browsed numerous websites and forums, but found nothing resembling our guest. Finally, I decided to call a veterinarian friend, Mark, who has always been a reliable source of animal knowledge. Mark, have you ever heard of a frog that grows abnormally and makes strange noises? I asked, describing in detail the creature's appearance and behavior. On the other end of the line, Mark seemed intrigued. That's really strange, Josh. I've never heard of anything like that. I'll come by tomorrow to take a close look at this frog. Maybe I can figure something out, he replied, promising his visit the next day. Strangely, during the rest of the day, the frog seemed to maintain the same size. There were no signs of the alarming growth from the night before, which was, in a way, a relief. The house's routine returned to normal, but the sense of unease persisted. Tyler, happy to have his friend back in the aquarium, spent the day observing him and trying to understand what made that frog so special. As the day turned to night, the tranquility seemed temporary, like the calm before a storm. We ate dinner in silence, each of us lost in thoughts about what to do with the creature. After dinner, we decided it was time to go to bed. Marie and I checked the aquarium once more, making sure it was secure and that the creature couldn't escape. Tyler said goodnight to his friend once again, a tired but satisfied smile on his face. I woke up in the middle of the night to the clear sound of glass shattering. I got up quickly, but hesitated for a moment, thinking it might just be my imagination. Marie slept beside me, and the house was wrapped in a disturbing silence. I decided it was just my mind playing tricks on me and tried to go back to sleep. Sometime later, a more distinct noise came from Tyler's room. I sat up in bed, now fully awake. Marie also woke up, her eyes wide with worry. We ran to Tyler's room, and upon opening the door, we were paralyzed with horror. There, in the middle of our son's room, was the creature, now the size of a calf. Its enormous body occupied much of the space, and its green-blue skin glowed sinisterly in the dim light of the lamp. Tyler, I shouted, but there was no sign of him, only that monstrous creature. The frog began emitting that disturbing grunt, a sound that made my skin crawl. Suddenly, the creature lunged at Marie, its jaws opening to bite. Panic took over me as I watched the frog grab her arm with small, sharp teeth. Marie screamed in pain, struggling to break free. I rushed to help, fighting the frog with all my might. The creature was surprisingly strong, but adrenaline gave me a strength I didn't know I had. I managed to push the frog, making it release Marie. Quickly, we grabbed the bathroom door and shoved the creature inside. With a final effort, I closed the door and locked it, while Marie held her injured arm, panting. Josh, where's Tyler? Her voice was full of despair. We looked around, searching for any sign of our son. Terror gripped us as we realized Tyler was missing. Marie held the bathroom door with all her strength, while the creature battered against it, making the wood shake and almost give way. Josh, hurry! I don't know how much longer I can hold it, she screamed, the desperation evident in her voice. I ran through the house, calling for Tyler. I searched every room, looked under the beds, behind the doors, but there was no sign of him. The anguish grew with every second. Tyler, where are you? My voice echoed through the hallways, but the only response was the sound of grunts and the blows against the bathroom door. I returned to Tyler's room, my heart pounding uncontrollably. As soon as I entered, I heard a loud crack. The bathroom door finally gave way, and the creature came hopping through the house. This time, however, it didn't attack us. The frog, now monstrous, crossed the living room in great leaps, knocking over furniture and scattering debris in its path. In a final jump, it broke the window and disappeared into the night, heading for the woods. Marie and I stood paralyzed for a moment, the terror still pulsing in our veins. Josh, what now? She asked, her voice trembling. When I looked at her, I noticed she was pale, sweating, and breathing heavily. Marie, are you okay? I asked, approaching her. But before she could respond, she began to vomit. It wasn't a normal vomit. It was something terribly strange. Tiny live tadpoles came out of her mouth, falling to the floor in a grotesque spectacle.